Now 4,500 years ago man left his footprint here in this park, and he left it in Ross Island because there were rich veins of ore and copper on the Carboniferous limestone shores of the Middle Lake or Muckross Lake, and man up to the 17th century mined that ore and copper. Initially, the oldest copper mines, almost 4,500 years ago, are very close to Ross Castle on Ross Island. And Ross Castle, by the way, is well worth a visit on your free day. It's a 15th century tower house, and it's right on the shores of Lough Lean. Perhaps a jaunting car to take you there. Unique experience, horse and carriage through the national park. So this is the landscape that man found. He found wolves. He found a very special black pig, Buck pig, Ross the Bay of Pigs. He found a unique woodland, a remnant, as I said. This will be approximately 140 years old, but it is unique in that sense. Also on Ross Island is a very unique yew woodland, and that yew woodland grows on a karst limestone landscape. And when you visit the Burn, you'll be amazed at the karst limestone landscape of the Burn. But if you could fast forward, get into a time capsule, and maybe go 5-6, Shane will tell you precisely how long it will take for the Burn to become covered in yew trees. But we have that at Ross Island here. Shane, by the way, is Shane Connolly, the guide, by far left, tells us we don't see the original watermark. Last Saturday, when we done this tour, that water was at least 6 or 8 feet lower than it presently is. So it's right up to the watermark. But this up and away the best guide in your 14 days, and believe you me, you will experience our. So very unusual in that sense. Now the arbutus tree was much sought after by artisans here in Killarney because tourism began here in 1755. And in 1755 there wasn't anything made in Taiwan. Everything was made by hand by local artisans, and they sourced
as well. Just to let you know, the town we're going into, Dingle, is a town very famous in Ireland for its dolphin. So there's a dolphin in Dingle called Fungi. Fungi is the name of the dolphin. So Fungi came to Dingle in around the 1980s, and he is a remarkable dolphin because every time you go out in a boat into Dingle Bay, Fungi will come along the boat and start playing and things like that. So if you get a boat out to see the dolphin, you won't have time to do that today, unfortunately, but some other time when you're back you can take a boat out, and if you don't see Fungi, they give you your money back. So it's a really lovely dolphin. People go in and swim with him as well. And once upon a time, on an April Fool's Day, the 1st of April every year, April Fool's Day, someone rang into the local Kerry radio station to say that Fungi had left Dingle and he'd gone down to the Ring of Peninsula area, and he was hanging around the town on there. So everyone in Dingle was terrified that their dolphin had left. Little did they know Dingle was out, or Fungi was out swimming around as usual in the bay, no problem whatsoever.
In Ireland, you have to go up to the Irish language to get the proper explanation, or the proper explanation for place names. Now we're coming back here towards a village called Kilwicketdownick, and Kilwicketdownick is a very unusual name. Keel comes from the word calla, the Latin word, meaning a cell. And the name of the village is the Cell of the Son of Sunday. That's what the name of the village is. And we can't explain it. The only thing is that behind the village is a place called Fawn, and that comes from the Latin word as well, called Faunum. Faunum means a holy place. And a lot of the fields...
Okay, we're pulling into Dingle.
all new, all bed and breakfast, wonderful bed and breakfast, well known and you know, well respected. On your left, the house across on the left hand side, just across the water there, the White House, that is where Robert Mitchum stayed when they were making the film Ryan's Daughter. He stayed there for 9 months. And they say Mitchum changed his women as often as he changed his socks. I don't know how often he changed his socks. Now this is the Dingle whiskey distillery here. They'd make whiskey, gin and vodka. And when I was young, there was a mill wheel in there, a big mill wheel. There was a mill, a wood mill. And the wheel was turned by water from the river. But that's all gone now. They forgot about the wood. They're making whiskey instead. So all the houses on the right hand side, remember, this is all new in the last 20 years. On the left up here is the graveyard. It's called Gattin the Glory. Gattin the Glory means the gates of glory. And it gets its name from the field across the road where it used to be a place of ritual in the old days. Now we're coming back here towards a village called Kilvicketdownick. And Kilvicketdownick is a very unusual name. Keel comes from the word calla, the Latin word, meaning a cell. And the name of the village is the Cell of the Son of Sunday. That's what the name of the village is. And we can't explain it. The only thing is that behind the village is a place called Fawn, and that comes from the Latin word as well, called Faunum. Faunum means a holy place. And a lot of the now all we know about those forts is that they were all built between 2000 and 2500 years ago. So they were built by the Celts. And any of them that they have any excavations done in have proved that people only stayed in them for a very short period of time. So all they were built for really was places of refuge, places that you ran to when you were in trouble, just like the forts the soldiers had for the Indians out west when they started to claim the west. You put up a fort, you went into it, and that was your place of refuge. A two-story house that was sold for 700,000 during the boom. Imagine, it was built for less than 2,000, I'm sure, when it was built first day. Now we're going into Glen Fawn, the Glen of the Holy Place, and there's a bridge here and the water flows over the bridge, not under the bridge. We'll be going across it in a minute. But up there are two houses up there on the side of the hill, and there's an old lady living in one of them. She's 92 years of age. She's a great friend of mine. And a guy went up there one day to her selling a vacuum cleaner. And she told him she had no use for it, anyway she didn't have the money to pay for it. So he insisted in demonstrating it for her, and he brought in half a bucket of something like dried horse manure, and he had thrown it in her kitchen. And he said, if it didn't, he said, it is semi-commercial, he said, and if it doesn't pick it all up, I will eat it myself, personally, he said to her. So she said, I better get a spoon. And he said, why? I don't have any electricity up here, she said. Good enough for him, wasn't it? And anyway, she gets a great kick out of that. She loves telling that story. And she's up there, and there's nobody up there. The other house is empty. It's a summer house. And there's nobody here, only herself now. She's the only person living in this whole area here. That's a summer house as well. 700,000. And some of the books that were written are classics. And one of them, The Island Man, is 32 different languages. So they are significant books. There's another one then called 20 Years of Growing by Maurice O'Sullivan or Maurice O'Sullivan. And that's a classic as well, and that's in 24 different languages. So now, as we look down, this road now was built during the famine to give employment. That's the famine. This is a result of the famine, this road. The beach you see on your left is Communal Beach. It's the most westerly beach in Europe. And they made part of Ryan's Daughter here. They couldn't film the last part of it because they wanted to do the storm scene. And they took all the sand off the beach and the further away part of the beach there, and they trunked it with cement and rocks to bring the mighty Sam, the yoke with the swinging camera on it, onto the beach. And when the storm came, the storm put 10 feet of sand back on the beach again, so they couldn't bring it down there. So they had to finish the storm scene in South Africa.
Oh my.
No, my God, I didn't expect it to be this wet. But you can see it's absolutely, there's 3,000 miles of sea hitting that place now. 3,000 miles. There's a little lady here and she sells buns and stuff. By God, she's here today with her buns, out under the rain.
Okay.
My God, she's a tough little cookie, this one. I don't think she's married. I think she's an awful lot of man. It says some man should have her services.